Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2, where I'm excited to bring you the Zerg player in the bottom right in the red, widely regarded as one of the smartest players in the world. It's Lambo. Up against the Korean Protoss in the top left, always with the high-tech strategies. It's classic. A best of 5, Zerg versus Protoss. And I'm always excited. Well, one, classic brings essentially everything. He'll bring out the kitchen sink as long as you can upgrade it with a tech building. Whereas Lambo is considered something of a coach to many of the players, not just Zerg, throughout Europe. So definitely a split from the normal styles I think we're usually going to see, but not a split from my normal begging you for likes and subscribes. And Jimmy, what are we... No, we're still doing +1. I don't care what year it is. Yeah. 1,223 likes on this video, on this series, on this cast. And I'll cast some more series next year. What year is this? Well, doesn't really matter. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get a little bit better. I'm looking forward to something somewhat different in Zerg versus Protoss. I don't know if I'll get it. I don't know how this series goes, but with players who are ever so slightly, Classic's still one of the best Protoss in the world, but Lambo overshadowed by Cyril, by Raynor when he decides to play Zerg, but still an incredibly competent Zerg himself. It makes up a lot for that slightly, I guess, less perfect, but slightly less perfect mechanics with higher levels of strategy. But unfortunately, losing, almost 4 drones to the first Adept is a bit of a rough and tumble start. Gets the Adept, so that is indeed something. But definitely a win for Classic to start things off. It was opened up with a Phoenix into Oracles. So this has become kind of... the Stargate is much like the Terran Starport when it comes to the meta. You don't know exactly what's going to come out of it, and it feels like we've reached a new level of variety for 6-8 months there or so. It was 3 Oracles, the Triumvirate build, every single game. If anyone strayed from that, less than 10% of games, oh my god, madness. But now, Phoenix into Oracle, occasional Mass Phoenix, some Void Rays making their way in. Definitely trying some new things. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it really dictates the pace of the early game. Which units come out of that Stargate first? I will say, for Zerg, not a lot of variety there. The Queens, tried and true. When you build the Zerglings, when you focus on the drones, is a very flexible experience. Unless you go for some sort of early all-in. It looks like right now, Lambo on the defensive. Got the Queens here to zone out the Adepts. The Adepts will shade through. There's not that much, well... The Queens politely yet firmly asking the Adepts to leave, but some of them out of position. Phoenix picks up one of the Queens. Gonna be targeted down, but the Oracle's just eviscerating the mineral line. And 10 drones. Queen forced to watch as the other 2 incompetently target... No, target the Phoenixes! What are you doing, Karen? I don't... I mean the Oracles. Obviously, what she meant to say there, as I blacked out for a moment. But in not targeting the Oracles, suffering a whole lot of extra damage. It's really adding up quickly here. Lambo has lost 13 drones. 14 drones. What happened now? The Adepts are back. Oh god, this is one of those cascading disasters. It feels like a revolving door of pain and suffering, where the Adepts keep shading in, the Oracles slide into your DMs, and your DMs are, of course, your drones mining. And now, oh my, sliding in again. So smooth. Looks like 1, maybe no. 7 more drones. And Lambo doesn't really have... He has 16 Zerglings. So it's not like he has a massive army. The poke and prod of the early game really does dictate how much the Protoss is able to get away with as time goes on. You want to kill at least a few drones to make sure the Zerg doesn't expand too far too fast. If you kill enough drones, that might set up a solid timing to follow it up before there's any lair tech. Like right now, Lambo He just finished his lair. He hasn't started roach speed. He has no other upgrades on the way, whereas a warp prism is in production, blink, and +1 for Classic's army, which means almost certainly with the next warp in here, or just right now, why not, gonna be sending it out, as he did follow up with 3 oracles. More than enough potential damage to keep large amounts of Zerglings from surrounding the Stalkers, potentially use some stasis to cut things off, but so far, Classic, a lot of gateways completed in the main. Oh no! Assassinates a queen, uses 2 force fields to get another, why not? He built those sentries early, so they built up a lot of energy here. The hatchery is certainly dead. +1 attack, locks in 2, 3 more queens. Stasis is trigger, but Lambo really struggling to find his footing here in game 1. Classic doesn't even have blink done, but there wasn't an opportunity to really jump on that army. And the oracles also give you the revelation. There, he did it. All right, I struggled over the words, but he didn't struggle over the action. And the revelation helps to clear that creep, make it that much harder to pursue these stalkers. Beautiful force fields. Puts up a wall of them, and the stasis on the back line. Corrosive Bile doesn't really find a connection. Blunks forward, maybe a bit ambitious. That's a lot of Zerglings there. Even if they don't have upgrades, more Corrosive Biles. Classic blunking over the top again. The oracles are out of energy, but Lambo just doesn't have enough units to deal with it. It's far too much. A solid execution from Classic. And game 1, just like that, he cuts his way forward and grabs a game. Ooh, rough start for Lambo here, as that went about as poorly as it could have in the early game without him outright having to GG. But taking double-digit drones of damage to oracles and adepts is just something you cannot afford, because, like they say, that which doesn't kill you leaves you almost certainly crippled when it comes to dealing with a follow-up attack. So, game 2, loaded in just like that. Only a few minutes in. Feels like we just finished the intro. Well, introing Alcyone and a gold base from Lambo. Classic is gonna cannon rush it. Not even really a cannon rush. This is a counter cannon response. But either way, it looks like he's gonna put cannons behind it here. I'm not sure if any of these minerals are only 5 minerals, but oh wait. Yeah, he already broke through 1. He could do that. Will the Overlord spot it in time? And also, what do you do about it? The spawning pool is way too far off. I haven't seen someone scout this quick enough to potentially respond with the cannons. But Lambo doesn't quite have the Overlord in position here. So... oh, he sees the probe. He's gonna see the cannons. Here we go! Now, what do you do about this as Lambo? Do you just attack? Has he given up on this base entirely? Has the cannon zoned him out of the base? He finishes the... oh, just as he was about to cut the ribbon on it. The hatchery cancels. He's just going to keep the cannon here. Might as well. Lambo double expands, but now there's a zealot on the way across, so the cannon successfully delays. But Lambo sees Classic does not have an expansion behind. So even though Lambo is denied this base, the fact he's able to cancel it, and Classic is locked in to that forge, and he built that cannon over there. Even though he shut down this early strategy, I will say, it doesn't seem too bad for Lambo. This is that kind of awkward situation I think he can definitely find some advantages in. This is what I was hoping for from this series, which is something different. I've seen the gold base. I've seen cannon rushes. But what is this? Lambo now has 3 bases, only one of which is finished, and aren't even his first 3. There's a cannon hanging out near the 3rd. Stargate is on the way. Lambo with the double expo and Zergling speed behind, important to note. So we will have that Ling speed. And Lambo's drone count is quite low, as getting multiple hatcheries does cut into it, as well as all these Zerglings. The Zealot? Okay, well, the Zealot is doing a lot of damage to the hatch here. It's at less than half HP. The Queen comes up to help deal with it. Metabolic boost is completed. Speed going to be incredibly important. Classic has to recall the Adepts. Will he get him out? He gets one out. The other one ripped to shreds. So. Huh. The Zealot goes to hang out by the cannon. Always nice to have something to fall back to. And now here's the Void Ray. Did he wall off wrong? Or, well, that's certainly an odd wall off there. I think he slapped down the forge and then there wasn't quite the right amount of space. Or maybe that's just how he likes to wall off. You know what? Give him the benefit of the doubt. We're not here to debate architecture. I mean, we kind of are, but that's not really the main thing. I don't know. This is my house, all right? What is a house? Void Ray. Burns through the Ovi. Always love that prismatic alignment. And behind it, an Oracle. Looks like Classic trying to kind of reset the tech tree. Lambo, though, 3 bases this early with no real threat of damage getting done. I think Lambo just backing off the expansion and deciding to go with the double expo on the more normal bases. I think that was by far the right call. Classic committed. The cannon is not that costly in the actual resources, but it's costly in the time on both Classic's expansion and his tech. He has delayed his Stargate units. He has delayed his 3rd Nexus. And Lambo, as Zerg, can kind of bounce back economically a lot quicker than Protoss can. You can only build probes 1 chrono boost at a time like any other TOS. Whereas with multiple hatches to larva inject, Lambo, now the drone count exploding. 52, more on the way. Lair as well. Gonna try to get some damage done here. Charges up the Void Ray to try to kill an Overlord. Will succeed. The Queen's coming in from all sides. And there is this gap in the mineral wall. You can't... What if you could replant minerals? What if you could plant minerals and they grow and then you could... I think that's another game. Meanwhile, the cannon's still there, by the way. Staring it down. The little outpost on the creep. The Zealot. Looks like the Queens are just going to try to depower the pylon. Or just go for the cannon itself. Alright, he's done dealing with this. The Zealot bravely fighting. But why are any of us here? Yes. Alright, waste all your ammo. What do you mean they don't have... The Adepts... jam themselves in. Cancel out. And I get a couple drone kills, but not nearly as meaningful as the previous match. Spire on the way. We could have Mutas on the horizon, or potentially blocking it. And considering the state of the game, I think that'd be a pretty solid call. Mutalist, in this scenario, yes, there is a Stargate, but there was only the Void Ray and the Oracle, and does he still have... He has both alive. But Classic, if you've seen any matches, it has a bit of a tendency to underestimate the Mutas. As a lot of Protoss players feel like they just shouldn't even be tried. Because, obviously, I could just build Phoenixes. Why would you build so many Mutas? So, once you start getting momentum with them, they can be very effective. Especially if unscouted, but the hallucinated Phoenix may prompt some real ones. Alright, he sees the Spire. Most of the way done. Classic is building a Phoenix. Alright, he's taking it seriously and builds a 2nd Stargate. He's learned his lesson. And clearly, the timing of the scout on the Spire was perfect. He scouted it. I don't even know if Lambo saw that he scouted it. But he scouted it with about 20% left to go. Which is enough time to get 3 or 4 Phoenixes before the Mutas come out. But not so much time as they can kind of swerve and transition into another tech path. So the timing works out great here for Classic, who already has double Robo as well. He got... I mean, it's Classic, so of course he has a Robo Bay, 2 Robos, 2 Stargates, missing the Fleet Beacon, and any sort of Templar, but I'm sure they'll be on the way soon enough. Here comes a bare bones army through the tiny Watchtower choke point here. Counterattack up north. Oh, those are the Mutas mustering. We got double Colossus, double Phoenix. What a high-tech Protoss army. Cannons in the mineral line. It was spotted. The Phoenixes are as well. There's no running. The Phoenixes will hunt you down, but if you can keep them busy, the Muta's microing back. Classic moves to intercept the main army on the ground. The Phoenixes doing well enough to cut down the Mutas here. With 3 or 4 of them, they just slice. Brenda, where are you going? Are you serious about... Are we doing a 4-base all in? Whose idea was this? This seems a bit... gratuitous. Sorry. All right. Blank. Wow. It's getting bad lately. Templar Archives. That's stasis. If that stasis hits the queens, they'll only go marginally slower. He noticed it at the last second, though. Beautiful pullback from Lambo. Wall of force fields. And breaks through the battery, but another force field replaces it. Banelings crashing into the mineral line. The Mutas are in the natural right now. The Phoenix is coming back to defend. There is a stasis that will lock the Banelings in. And Lambo, well, the queens are still here. As well, the mineral wall going to be quite a choke point. Here come the Phoenixes, finally cleaning up the Mutas. Pick up whatever they can. Give the Stalkers free reign. Hard to tell what's going on down there. Looks like some of the queens picked up and put down dead. Well, or roasted. So at the end of the day, a very costly attack for Lambo. Classic ends up killing almost twice as many resources in that last battle throughout. But, well, is there a but here? Always an important question. He killed some of the economy? Honestly, well, Lambo has the economy to rebuild. That's the key part. But it didn't quite get the critical damage I think it needed to slow down Classic's well-developed army composition. He's got Storm on the way. Hive is in production. 10 Hydralisks joining as well. +1 melee attack is completed. Lurker Den. Counterattack set up. That Hive going to be very important. The Colossus count. He's got 4 Colossi. Storm on the way. Double Immortal. Well, this Protoss army is getting more and more scary, but it's still not large enough to be a game-ending death ball. At least not quite yet. Without Storm here, going to be hard to break up the big groups of Roach Hydra. Couple Templar mixed in. Lambo has an army set up to the south side. Vipers on the way. And Lambo, pretty smartly here, not deciding to commit to an attack, but instead trying to wait out the Vipers, maybe the Lurkers. Classic, not quite maxed out, but he doesn't have much else to wait for at the moment. His army composition is mostly together. 4 Colossi, 4 Immortals. He's got the Templar and the Phoenixes as well. That's quite a technical, yet difficult to deal with Protoss and Death Ball. One of the Vipers gets targeted down by the Blink Stalkers right off the bat. Banelings are going to complete right underneath. Where are the Storms? Catching the edges of it here. The War Prism bringing in reinforcements. Storms blocking out the back flank. The Colossi stuck in the middle of everything. The Minerals helping to protect them. Are they helping, or are they just giving him a false sense of security? The Colossi stepping up, but getting knocked down by the Roaches. The War Prism not saving him. Classic, I think he's juggling 3 or 4 things, and he's dropping most of them. This fight, disastrous. Classic kills the base, but he loses pretty much every single important tech unit on the field. He loses, wow, that is quite a list. 3 Templar, 4 Immortals, 4 Colossi, the Warp Prism, an Archon, Oracle, 3 Phoenixes, and of course some Stalkers and Zealots, and no one ever talks about them. He did a lot of damage, but mostly to Lings and Banes. Looks like +3 attack was outright denied. He killed the Forge. The Zerglings were chewing through it on the other side as the fight was happening. Maybe that distracted Classic just enough that the fight ended up being, well, just a bit disastrous. Let's be honest here. That is a potentially game-ending damage and self-inflicted. Now 13 probes, 16 probes go down. Classic plummets beneath 100 supply. He's gonna lose his 4th base. And I don't think he can come down this ramp again. A full energy Viper looking to meet him. Can yank in some of the Archons. Get over here. 1 gets an Immortal from the back line. And there's nothing left to stop the Zerg. Classic went right into the heart of the swarm. And he did not survive it. Lambo strikes back with a well-executed game 2. And definitely something a little different that time around. A cannon contain into a 3-hatch, really, well, not 3-hatch before pull, but a quick 3-hatch into mutas. We went all over the builds and the tech tree in that match. But Lambo ends up crossing the finish line. As Classic unable to meet him on the field. That brings us to game 3. I do wonder if that's why we don't see the cannon rush. Lambo seemed comfortable enough. And just because you deny the base, you've given up so much map control yourself to do so. If you can't jam those cannons into the natural or somewhere where the Zerg has to go by for them to be meaningful, it does seem like you're kind of hurting yourself almost as much as you're hurting them, if not more. Or you could use it as the basis for like a big charge lot all-in or something, but that is simply not Classic style. That is a big danger as Protoss especially as well, as having a style. The more predictable you are, especially as Protoss, the harder it is to really consistently get into an advantageous position. Because that's what Zergs especially do. They adapt. So if they know what they're adapting to, it makes it that much easier. Lambo, game 1 was just an intelligence gathering operation. Alright? But now, here we are, all tied up. Gonna be a Stargate again. Site Delta. No gold bases to try to sneak early on here. Will it be Phoenix Oracle? Yes. I do like it. Always feels so slick to pick up one of those queens and then come through with the oracles. Though a bit more technical. You don't have as many oracles to work with early on, so potentially vulnerable to counterattack. But you can kill overlords too, so that I think that's worth it. And here we are. The overlord gonna glide in. See exactly what it expected to. I think the Phoenix is going for the Overlord at the natural. Ideally before it can retreat to safety. Or not. Or decides to come back because he wasn't paying attention. Ooh, nice Evo chamber block there. Overlord will be taken down. Phoenix finally finds its target. But the Zergling count is high enough. We'll get one of the Adepts, the other one barely alive. Third Nexus will start, but the Zerglings are already here. Even if the Oracle lights up, it's like he'll be able to get the Adept, maybe the Probe as well. Won't delay the third Nexus, unfortunately, but... Oh! Some great Oracle Micro actually cuts through the Zerglings. Lambo ends up losing a lot of lings there. Ooh, 3 more gates very quickly with a quick Twilight behind. This should be Adept Glaives. Didn't have the gases particularly quick. There's no Overlord to scout this. So Lambo very well could be caught off guard by the Glaives. He's got a Roach Horn on the way, but no indications of it. Obviously, Spore Crawler is going to be helpful. There's the Glaives. Lifts up a Queen, burns through the drones, which will retreat up to the high ground. I'm not sure that's more helpful. 6 drone kills, but wait. Get off my Creep! Oracle goes down. Overlord. Phoenix still finding targets. Robo on the way. Quite a committed potential Glaives attack here. 5 gates. Robo behind as the inevitable follow-up is more than likely roaches, so the ability to get immortals or just even a warp prism to help deal with it. Oh no, I think he's trying to hide some of those adepts there. Oracle going around. Roaches are on the way. Lambo, I think, has figured some of this out now. He hasn't started... Oh, he's doing a German taxi build. Lambo, the creator of this chauffeur-based strategy. But how does this shake out? Lambo's doing essentially a 3-base Ravager Ling all-in. With the Queens in tow. Whereas Classic has mass Glaved Adepts. I think just having this solid of a unit count will be very helpful for Classic. Are there going to be enough roaches? This might be going directly into a counter here, to be honest. And back at home, 2 Adept Shade by. They do have Glaives. And Lambo realizing now, he starts drones again. He realizes he's fighting into an incredibly strong attack. Oh my god, at Adept positioning. And now, a whole group of Adepts making their way down the south side here. The Zerglings sliced up by the resonating Glaives. And now, well, Oracle gonna drag some of the Queens away. Is he gonna chase the Oracle with a Queen drop? Or at least do some fancy creep spread here. Both sides are so incredibly mobile. Very hard to keep tabs on everything here. Zerglings looking for an opportunity back at home. Shield batteries, though, backing each other up. Adepts into the natural, racking up more kills. Adepts into the third. Lambo lost track of it. And now 10, 11 drones. Corrosive Bile helps out, but the Adept's damage is already done. A dozen drones down. Lambo down to 50. And plummeting fast. Just Ravagers or Roaches and Lings. Soon to be Ravagers. Those Roaches. I think it's unlikely that Lambo going to macro this one out without doing some real economic damage on the other side. The Queen drop. The Overlords are wandering forward. A bit disjointed here, but the Adepts are being taken out by the Roach Ravager. Look at the supply. Queens haven't found an opportunity to add some creep spread. Actually dropping them behind to tank some of the damage. Creep spread at point blank range. The transfuses on the little bit of creep there is. And the Roach Ravager is breaking through. Is there a Warp Prism for these Immortals? Doesn't look like it. Shield Battery Overcharge helping out a lot. Keeps them alive. Helping them live up to their names. Down goes the Battery Overcharge though. The Queen's creep spreading on the front door right here. Might just drop the Queens into the mineral line. Indeed goes for it. The Ravagers are breaking through. They're breaking into the buildings. And right now, just so much damage. Classic is, well, at least he does have Blink done. +1 isn't there. Corrosive Bile loses the Queen. 16 probes killed. The rest just kind of hanging out here, waiting for the Queens to murder them, it looks like. Disruptor shot out of nowhere, though. Gets a big hit. Oracle's burning through. The Ravagers thinning out. And with the death of those Queens, they didn't get any creep here. Well, there's an Observer. Blinks over the top. And Lambo, with the addition of the Ruptors and just the little bit of extra damage the Immortals were able to do, it's not quite enough to stop Classic, who with the Blink Stalkers is going to turn the tables immediately. But there are 11 drones on the way. Lambo had a massive supply lead, but he had it in these units that are so hard to really capitalize on. And the Ravager Ling, it did a lot of damage. But was it enough? Hydralisk done, Infestation bit on the way. Lambo only has 57 drones. So he is still somewhat locked in to the Roach and maybe Hydra, neither of which is particularly great against disruptors. There's only the one Ruptor on the field, but a brutal fight. Both sides doing terrible, terrible damage. But neither finding the critical game-ending blow. Stalkers making their way. Blink forward. Gonna try to just cancel the base outright. Will do so. Double Ruptor production. Could be disastrous for Lambo. He needs Vipers. Even just one Disruptor could really break the defense, but 2 or 3? Another Overlord goes down. The Zerglings, he actually recalls. Gets a couple Stalkers. Just making sure there. Hive is nearly done. Disruptors, obviously completed. There's going to be 5 of them, which is just too many to handle even with Vipers. Lambo going to be reliant on a huge army to overwhelm. He's got +1 ranged attack on the way. +2 for Classic. Fourth attempted again for Lambo. Classic is taking his Nexus to the south. Oracle still intact. 2 Vipers on the way. Queen's kind of scattered throughout. 63 to 61 workers in favor of Classic. But it does come down to who's able to hold on to their 4th base. They're both really... clearly both players very wary of losing any more army supply at this stage, as they barely survived the last skirmishes. The Disruptor count. 7 Ruptors. Only 2 Vipers is not enough. Even if they can only abduct 4, even if they're at maximum energy. Some shots will go off. And it's doubtful he's going to get all 4. But Lurkers can help in starting to split up the damage and giving more targets. Here comes Classic. Lambo's nearly maxed out as well. Potentially a decisive moment here. Disruptor shots. Opening salvo. Good connection. Finds another one. Just gonna go for the Lurker. Another couple shots. Yanks out the Ruptors before. There's more, though. The broadside continues to land the damage. A counterattack, looking for more. He gets through the pylon. Stasis will lock out some of it, but a lot of damage will be dealt here. Still Hydras on the back line. Vipers. Oh, he just plunks into Lurkers, but there's enough of it. Blinding Cloud. And Lambo does not have enough units back here. The Hydras are hunted down and annihilated by the Purification Novas. The last Lurker. Lambo sent a good counterattack out, but he underestimated the number of Ruptors on the field. And now with +2 attack, the Blink Stalkers should be enough to carry through. A tenuous timing, but the Ruptors came together quicker than the Lurkers and the Vipers could. And this time around, Lambo will find the victory screen. Classic. Oh my. One job. Classic is on match point. There were only 2 choices. It was hard to get it wrong. You could even just read off the screen if you knew how to read, but... a tense game. Definitely something a bit different here. Alright. Going into potentially match point of this best of 5. In the bottom left of Solaris, it's Lambo. Joined up in the top right by Classic. God, I thought the Adepts might be enough against the Ravager Ling, but the Adepts just melted. And I think demonstrating why Adepts are rarely used as a really mid or late game choice, as against everything but Zerglings, they really just don't find. Adepts cost more than a Roach, and it's a lot easier to put 30 Roaches on the field than have 30 Adepts. So at the end of the day, that's why it's either Blink Stalkers, Charge Lots, or Robo. The Adepts have their place as that early game surprise, I murdered all your drones sort of feel, but Classic was able to catch Lambo off guard with a couple of the shades, and that was the key difference. If Lambo had been able to shut them down completely, it's very unlikely he holds that counter, as it was that close. Well, third base taken. Forced to the low ground as Classic was blocking the hatchery. Typical probe. Stargate on the way. Chronoing out probes, Classic on both fronts. Maximizing that early economy. It is going to be a more drawn-out build this time. The extent of the early shenanigans being that kind of half-hearted cannon on Alcyone. Phoenix first. Likely Oracle's behind. Adept actually completes the shade into the main. And gets out. Overlord decides, well, if I'm gonna die, I might as well do it what I do best. While doing what I do best, which is gliding slowly and looking around the enemy base like a creepy tomato. Down it goes. Oracle on the way. And third Nexus, close behind. Phoenix might find a second Overlord. There's not going to be enough energy for Transfuse, but not wanting to take any extra damage on it. Oracle comes in, gets 2 of the drones, and gets out before taking really any hull damage. No taking 2/3 damage for 4 drones for Classic today. Is he going for the Adepts again? Yep. If it ain't broke. Now, I don't think it was met with resounding success in the previous match, but at the same time, it certainly wasn't failure. It was some sort of middle ground, so definitely could work again. Classic hiding those Adepts away from the wall, not wanting Lambo to get any info on this before the last possible second. Roachhorn is on the way. Yo, hello! The Oracle's abandoning the Phoenix as the Phoenix holds a queen. Literally left hanging there. Adept Glaives. Halfway there, Roach. Robo facility. Roachhorn's done. Robotics facility, not so much. Just started. So very similar build to last game for Classic. This time around, I don't think a Lambo is doing a German taxi build. Yeah, he's got the Evo chamber on the way. No Overlord speed. Does have a lair, but not so particularly quick as to send those queens across. The Adepts, well, their Roaches in production. 7 queens off the line. Glaives nearly complete. A Classic gonna time out that shade with him. He has 15 Adepts. Quite a bold move. Trying to split the difference here. Will complete the shade. There aren't quite enough Roaches, only 2 of them, in order to deal with this, so Lambo will be forced away for now. The shade headed towards the main base, and I see no reason not to complete it again. Gonna try to get more, just slicing through whatever he can get. The Zerglings barely offering any resistance. 5 drones down, more at the third. Adept shade to the natural, drones every which way now. Adept's getting cleaned up on most fronts. No roach speed on the way for Lambo, so no easy way to counterattack after this. Assuming there is an after. More adepts. Alright, so in total, there's still 11 adepts out there. But the queens do have transfuses. Oracles were just standing by. There's a lot of just a full revolving door. Merry-go-round here. I want to get off Mr. Classic's wild ride. So Lambo ends up losing 10 drones, 40 Zerglings, and a couple roaches. Now, not all of that was the adepts, a bit from the oracles. But meanwhile, 12 adepts down. I think Lambo handled it acceptably well. Wasn't great, wasn't terrible. He is left in an okay spot economically, and Classic no longer can really rely on the adepts for any more aggression. Peace. Not canceled, actually. Bit of a mistake there. Lambo gonna lose a few hundred more minerals than he needed to. Adepts in towards the natural. Did he see the infestation pit? I believe so. Double Raptor on the way yet again. Lambo has access to a hive, potentially earlier. Hydralisk Den is on the way as well. But those Raptors are so dangerous until the Vipers are out, and even after. But they are essentially required, especially if you're relying on a Hydralisk-based unit composition. It's just... it only takes one. And you lose that critical mass that can compete with the Blink Stalkers. Of which Classic will have plenty. Hydralisk speed. Oracles into the main. Burns through a couple more drones, takes some damage, sees the Hydras in the hive. And here comes the Quad Raptor timing, fires a shot, hits two of the queens. Looking for more, finishes one off. Full surround from Lambo. The Disruptor's not really prioritizing here. Great splits, and he fired so many shots so early. You can't fire off all your shots before the battle even begins. That's a rookie mistake. Oh my. A huge warp incoming in though, and another Disruptor. He's trying to chase these down, but the Raptors recharge, and now Lambo, well, even the Queen getting in on the action. It just wasn't enough. There's a Disruptor. Is there a shield battery? He takes it out before the shot can connect. And actually, Lambo finding a great timing here yet again. Classic firing off all his Raptors too early. Prematurely, I might even say. But, oh, the Queen's getting stuck. Oh, Brenda. Avenge me! Viper's in production. Raptor count down to 2, but he's still building 2 at a time. But the Viper should be enough to compete with it. Classic behind this has 79 probes. A big deal at this stage, as he can support his 8 gates, his double robo, and even to an extent more past that. The Warp Prism. The Warp Prism. I thought he just flied away, but... Alright, well, Classic losing the Prism. Ooh. Few mistakes here have kept Lambo in a pretty decent position. And now Lambo, with the Vipers coming out, they're gathering energy. Should have enough of the abducts. Fires a volley. Oh, no! Oh, he thought he could target it, but he didn't quite get it in time. And that is a face-melting mistake. Lambo! One more time. I think he wanted to target the Raptors, but he lost vision of it for a split second. This is the Lambo cam. Oh, he sees the shots. Try it. It's one of those things that you have half a second to make the right call. If that. And this time around, it wasn't. It's not over. He still has the Vipers, but that was a massive hit. Lambo killed 0 units and lost 14 roaches, 4 hydras, and 25 lings. So not a great trade, because that's not a trade at all. That's a gift. But the Vipers have energy now, Lurkers. Classic is maxed out. Hydra's going back and forth. There's so many Raptors. Fires another volley. Okay, connections. The Lurker's starting to add the damage from the backline. Gets another Raptor. And blunks in. But we'll take damage from the Lurkers here. 2 more Raptors show up, though. Fires off. Looking for the Lurkers, don't quite find it. But you have to kill the Raptors. Otherwise, they recharge and they come back for more. Only 1 Viper left. The Patrolling Phoenix is taken out. +2 ground weapons. The upgrades have been so low this series. They've been so focused on the unit composition. The Lurkers fires off 2. Chases away. Lurker unburrows in time. Another volley of shots. Finds nothing. 0 for 2. Shack at the free throw line. Disruptor's not connecting. But if he doesn't do it, it's a matter of time. Gets a Lurker. Disruptors and Lurkers cost the same amount. But that doesn't really tell the story here. Those Disruptors. Lambo trying to come in from the back, looking for the splits. Blinding Cloud doesn't affect the Disruptor shots. A bit disjointed, and the Raptors will recharge. The Stalker's still doing plenty of damage, and the flank turns into a one-sided rout. And here comes a flank out of Classic. There's just not enough units for Lambo, as Classic just keeps taking shot after shot, even at his own units. A victory shot there. You ever drank Disruptors from a shoe? I'm not gonna say a perfect game, but a decisive one. Classic is able to grind down the Zerg, punctuating the army and the engagements with those Raptor shots. And Lambo unable to keep up. Classic takes a 3-1 victory in quite a slugfest. I enjoyed it. I hope you did as well. I hope I made your day a little bit better. Thank you for watching. If you got the means and motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free. And checking out recommended autoplay, those are amazing as well. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Good luck, have fun. Stay chill.